Learning is our upcoming course authoring tool. It's designed to be easy to pick up for course creators, and it leverages the Beast Core ecosystem to interact with 3D models, have full narrations, and tons of configuration. The application is split into three main parts: a drag and drop editor for creating and maintaining courses, the viewer for lesson playback, and the dashboard, which displays your available lessons and will generally be your entry point to the application. On the dashboard, you can bookmark lessons in your catalog, create entirely new modules, and play or edit any of your existing ones. If you've worked with our previous tool, Courseware, you can also import legacy courses directly from the dashboard. Just upload your exported courses through the import modal, and they'll be automatically converted to the new format. Anything converted this way will function the same as it did in Courseware, but you'll be able to add and edit content as if it was native to learning. Now, before we get into how courses are created, it probably makes sense to take a look at what we'll be creating. I've got a simple example lesson here that should show off what training might look like from the student perspective. This lesson starts out in our 3D viewer, so we'll wait a second here for models to load. The viewer is meant to gamify training a little, so the interface is pretty simple. It lets the user focus on content instead of spending time fumbling with controls. On the screen here, we've got a small amount of information with a continue button that will advance the course. And in the top right corner, we have our pause menu, which allows the user to review glossary terms, documents attached to the course, as well as upcoming settings options and the ability to save and quit out of a lesson. We'll continue the course here by hitting the button on our information card. Here we're given a little overview of what to expect in the rest of the lesson as the camera cinematically pans us around the ship. Lessons can be fully narrated, include transcripts, and you have full control over things like the positioning of the camera. We also don't necessarily need to stay on rails. At any time, we can freely take control of the camera, move around the viewer to explore, and then when we're ready to move on, we just click the whole of the ship like the objective says in the top right-hand corner. From here, our mock course introduces the fictitious onboard system, the cryogenic cooling system. We unload all the models that aren't relevant and position the camera to give an overview of the purpose of these components. After a brief overview, we zoom in closer and highlight some components of interest. At this point, the user can actually choose to learn about the pumps, tanks, and AC units in any order. This particular lesson is set up to let the user choose their own adventure, and then automatically moves on to another section once all information is read. Now that we've finished reading, the course shows us one last diagram of the system and then lets us know we're about to be quizzed on what we learned. The quiz title screen offers the user one last opportunity to review any relevant documents or maybe terminology before choosing to start. Quizzes offer plenty of display options and different configurations. I'll go through all these questions real quick. We'll get this one wrong, and then we can show off some review options as well. After hitting submit, we're brought to the results screen, and we can see we barely passed. So we'll hit review to see what we missed. And we can clearly see we forgot to include AC units in this question. Course creators have a lot of power when making quizzes, to show feedback or hints should the user get a question wrong, as well as hide them completely for something like a practice quiz. Settings also exist in a similar vein for showing correct answers, randomizing questions, whether or not the student can retry a quiz, and how many times. And with that, we've reached the end of our little example lesson. This will take us to the final results screen, where we can see our grade and points earned from all the various graded objectives. Now we'll go back to the dashboard and show what building a course looks like. When you edit or create a new course, you're first brought to the Settings tab. This page serves as a general overview and houses all the course-wide settings in one place. You can view when the lesson was last modified and choose to delete or bookmark it. Some configuration options are available on the left-hand side of the page. Currently, we're on the General tab, where we can add branding to our lesson and modify the title and description. The glossary section lets you define terminology for the lesson that can be referenced in various places to show tooltips on Hover. The grading section lets you determine what counts as a passing grade and various messages to display should the user pass or fail. And finally, flags are how we track user actions over the course of a lesson. These are defined with arbitrary names and used over the lesson track for branching content. Now we'll head over to the track tab, where you'll be spending most of your time. The big section on the right houses what we've called cards. These are finite bits of functionality that you can add to your lesson to display information, quizzes, or control what appears on the screen. Everything you saw happen in our mock lesson was represented by one of these cards. To use a card, you simply drag it over into the track, and the lesson will run through them all in order. I've dragged a custom background card over, which allows me to change the background color of the lesson or add a persistent image behind the rest of the content that displays. Pressing the edit button or double-clicking a card will swap to edit mode and allow you to configure whatever options are available. Here I'll click the empty image thumbnail and I'll get a list of all the relevant media uploaded to the course. Confirming adds the image, and I'll also set the option to make it cover the entire screen. Hit save, and that's all there is to it. Most cards are pretty straightforward, simple to configure. The idea is anyone can pick up the software without a massive amount of training. For example, the 3D viewer card loads into the 3D environment with whatever systems you toggle on. If you ever want to change the systems at some point, you just drag another 3D viewer card. The go-to card is how we controlled a lot of the camera movement you saw in our mock course. You can zoom to components or exact positions in space, and even specify the amount of time the operation should take to get to that position. The find card prompts the user to go hunt down a component. It's how we move to the next section by clicking the hull of the ship. You can attach narrations to information cards, but also just play audio or sound effects in the background of the lesson as other things happen. Add the sound of a dripping pipe, a background conversation, or music. There's multiple audio channels to allow for layering audio, and when you want to stop audio, there's a card for that too. At one point in our mock course, we let the user choose what they wanted to learn about, and we did that with the decision card. This is also one place where those flags from the settings page come into play. You present options to the user, their choice can be recorded on a flag, and then later read by other cards. The chapter card is one card that can read those user decisions and change what content gets displayed. Here I have it configured to only show the section about pumps if the user chose to learn about them. Mini cards can also be previewed directly in the editor. Here we can see a preview of how our information about pumps would display. There's a lot you can do with cards, and it'll only grow over time. If you want more details on specific cards, or even how-to tutorials, you can view them on our website. We'll move on for now and head over to our Media tab. This is where you'll upload and manage any images, documents, or audio you want to use in your lesson. You can drag files onto the page directly to upload them, and each file generates with a thumbnail, or in the case of audio, an audio preview. You can optionally attach transcripts to audio that can be viewed during lesson playback here directly in the Media Manager. Using the Replace button allows you to update media and have it cascade to anywhere it was previously used in the course. Enabling the sharing option allows other courses to use the file, keeping its single source of truth where you uploaded it. Potentially, this allows for updating multiple courses at once should a narration need to be changed or a document revised. Next, we'll head over to the Question Bank tab, and that's where you'll be creating and managing all of your quiz questions. This view allows you to define question pools and assign questions to them. Adding questions to a pool allows you to reuse them on multiple quizzes, or even pull a random amount of questions to present. Creating a question in a pool, or clicking an existing one, brings you to a view that allows you to edit specific questions. And question creation is pretty straightforward. You propose a question to the user, choose a question type, add answers, and optionally feedback to display, which is then further configured on each quiz. Additionally, you can attach media to both questions and answers, which will display when taking the quiz. Learning is currently still in development. We're on track to meet our initial feature goals near the end of the year, and there's a lot to look forward to. We'll be adding integrations for learning management systems to allow for tracking student activities in third-party platforms. We're adding new cards and configurations, and also wrapping up our integration with the avatar environment, a high-fidelity 3D environment that throws the user into an immersive first-person view. I hope this has been informative, but for more details or to talk with someone about learning, please reach out via our website's contact page.